Come in. Hi, nice to see you. Have a seat. Well, as I promised last time, I'm going to read you the final section, as far as I've got, of this first part of the story of the coming of Galahad, and then with him, or just after him, the appearance of the Grail, which is what we had last time. And now this final section is about how they all get ready to set off, and indeed set off on the quest. Now, I've been going through, I've already shown you all the Arthur books, or some of the Arthur books that were on the big table over there. But of course more are emerging from everywhere as I bring in books from the garage and we think about which books to take to the new house. So a couple of others have just cropped up, which I'm glad to have again. This is a very authoritative and in some ways quite academic book, the Oxford Guide to Arthurian Literature and Legend. And it's got learned articles about Malory and his influence. It's got a very good one on just the tradition of the Grail, the Holy Grail, a whole one on Gawain. And then it's got an excellent sort of appendix where Arthurian people, places and things, you can just look up everybody. There we are, Lonville. So that's one kind of book. There are the books like Malory that you've seen. Hello, George. Yes, you're going to come and join us. But then there are these other strange books, and I was very glad to find my copy of this one, which are more sort of mystical. They're people at various stages. This is early 20th century. This chap, Arthur Edward Waite, was a bit of a mystic, a bit of a sort of, a kind of trying to recover ancient mysteries sort of person, but within a Christian frame, but at the sort of esoteric end of it. He was a great friend of and influence on Charles Williams, the friend of C.S. Lewis. Anyway, Holy Grail, history, legend and symbolism. In some ways it covers all the academic stuff about the Vulgate cycle of the Holy Grail, all that kind of thing. But it's written with great passion and with a sense that this story is still a story that needs to be told and is a story of the inner life as well as of outer legend. And I thought I'd just read you something from the very end of it, because it's kind of part of the spirit in some ways in which I'm trying to retell these stories. And it's about how the story is always taken up again in a long tradition. It's written in a very high, strange, late Victorian style, but I love it. I hear new voices, also after my own manner, and they're like unto the choirs of sanctity, golden tongues of tradition, saying the same thing everywhere, even from the beginning of things. There are some to keep in the heart, and scarcely to tell any. It rests on our knees. We read the book of the Grail under green leaves in sunlight, but it is always a new book, full of new meanings. But there are days of open audition when it may happen that we cease from reading, for the Percival and the Galahad read themselves over and over, speaking with golden tongues. We cease from reading, the books read themselves. And all the world about us is like that upper room in Jerusalem, when the Spirit came down to sanctify the fishers of men, making them rich fishers. We begin to learn in the heart, and begin in the heart to know why Pelles, the king, became the king hermit, and why after a brief space it was given that Percival should know right well the abiding place of the Grail. It is certain also that when it is said, here endeth the story of the most holy Grail, this appertains only to one version, one manner of testimony. It begins ever and again after another manner, and ever there is the benison of our Lord to all that hear and honour it. I love that. I find that very moving, and I suppose it's partly why, even in my own way, I want to take up this tale again. So here is the final section of my Coming of Galahad ballads sequel. You've heard 5 already. This is the 6th and the last that I've written in this present cycle. It's just called The Quest Begins. The morrow morning dawned full fair, that tender young leaf June, and though red roses blossomed bright in secret gardens on the height, for many a lady and her knight, the morning came too soon. Alas, alas for parting and the sorrow that it brings. 'Tis grief the whole world over when lover keeps from lover, who thought to stay forever and clip time of his wings. But now the quest has started, and all the tender-hearted, no sooner clasped than parted, must turn to holier things. For on that morn to Camelot a white-clad hermit came, with words of warning for them all. They gathered round him in the hall. He spoke to them of their high call, with vision all aflame. Fair knights, he said, in dreams last night an angel spoke to me. Before the Grail quest begin, let each knight clean confess his sin, and care not if he lose or win, or who has mastery. This quest is not for earthly fame, or glory in this world. Therefore let each knight set aside his vanity and earthly pride, and if he ride, then let him ride with no proud flag unfurled. But rather let each knight be clothed with true humility, and lay aside all spite and wrath, and as he leaves his home and hearth, let each one choose his own strange path into the mystery. And let him look unto his soul, and pray for purity, yea, let him look to his own soul, and pray that Jesus make him whole, that from the lusts that hold him thrall, the Lord might make him free. And so the knights dispersed again, each to his chamber there, all to make ready for the quest, and some to kneel in prayer. And all the maids and ladies there had sorrow on that day, and sought to hold their knights in arms before they went away. And Guinevere was troubled, yet her heart was warmed and stirred, for some strange hope amidst despair was kindled by the new knight there. She had a burden yet to share, and so she sent him word. He heard the lady's summons, and mildly he obeyed. He came at the appointed hour, and blushed within her garden bower, to listen between tilth and tower to all the great queen said. "O Galahad," said Guinevere, "your coming to us now is like the flutter of a wing, the breaking of the ice in spring. There's grief and grace in all you bring, my heart foreknows somehow. Though great has been my folly, still greater is my love, and all I've been is torn between the fire and the dove. They say you come from Pele's land, your mother, fair Elaine, but who your father is none know, or so the idle stories go. But I know, for my heart speaks so, your father's noble name. For Lancelot confessed to me a strange and haunting tale, how by adventure he did stray to Pele's land in month of May, and by enchantment there he lay with one whose name he did not say in the castle of the Grail. For by enchantment he was led, and in that gramarye he looked upon the fairest maid, where in her chamber she was laid, and all the time that there he stayed, he thought that maid was me. Oh, do not blush, my Galahad, this brings no shame on you, for though your father loved amiss, you were begotten true. Be not abashed, young Galahad, nor hang your head in shame. The Lord has set your life apart, and given you a princely heart, and you will play a noble part who bear a noble name. I love you for your father's sake, for all the deeds he's done, and had our fates been otherwise, you might have been my son. Somehow my heart foretells me that God has sent you here to heal the sundered sorrows of Elaine and Guinevere. And when you come to Sarras and the Hallows by the sea, pray for your father, Galahad, and also pray for me." And Galahad stayed silent, but kept all in his heart, and after prayed to Christ his Lord, and brought unto the living word all these heart-breaking things he'd heard of lovers kept apart. He took his leave of Guinevere, and lowly kissed her hand. "I keep you always in my prayer, and may God keep you in his care, and whilst we quest we know not where, may you keep watch on all that's fair and gentle in this land." And so the knights were gathered round, ready to take their leave. And many a stout heart faltered then, and many a maiden grieved. And Gawain laughed in glory that so many he drew on, nor knew he'd never finish the strange quest he had begun. And Percivale and good Sir Bors rode close by Galahad, in hope they might protect and tend in all his youth their new-found friend. His calling's high, but in the end he's just a tender lad. Lancelot looked about him and sorely missed the queen, and slipped aside when no one wist, for one last time to keep his tryst. The lovers prayed, despaired, and kissed, and parted, all unseen. Then Arthur let the trumpets sound, and all the people thronged around, and swords were drawn and shields displayed, and the great horses champed and neighed, and minstrels sang and hermits prayed as they rode through the town. Never again had Camelot so fair a company, never so many knights renowned as rode out to the trumpet's sound, and found all ground is holy ground for love and chivalry. The king stood on the castle walls and watched his knights depart. He hoped they might achieve the grail. He feared for many that they'd fail, and flinched to glimpse beneath the veil of his divided heart. Then at the gate the trumpets blew, and the king's herald cried, "Now, part your ways to east and west, to south and north as each likes best, for each must face alone his test. God grant you mercy in your quest, and may he be your guide." And so they parted, each his own, to take what God might send. And Galahad went far afield, an errant knight without a shield. And what befell him in the field, we wait another tale to yield. For here this tale doth end. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and I hope God sends me the time and the grace and the space to write the next instalment sometime. Anyway, good to have you here. Cheers.